So there was another severe weather band that came through sometime after midnight, but nothing serious that I could see, just lightning and thunder. I'm currently trying to get enough coffee down to go and face the outside. These Patagonia shorts work really well for me, but they start to wear out after a while, and the first thing that goes is this liner starts to shred. So what happens when this starts to cause its own chafing issues, I cut it out and I just use it without. I'm probably going to have to size down. Jen's going to bring me a large to replace the extra large. I like them loose, but this is a little too loose. So I'm getting a late start, but I've fixed up 4 days worth of edits that I was behind on, and it has just been nice here. Other than family in the next room was letting their kids run wild. It is pretty much night and day from when I arrived. Forecast is actually sunny for the next week, which I'm sure isn't going to last, but it's the thought that counts, right? So other than some inconsiderate neighbors, that hotel was pretty much ideal. That's exactly what I'm looking for when it comes to a hotel. I had a bathtub I could soak in to deal with the kind of muscle pain that tends to happen when I do these. And it was just nice to have privacy and at least briefly quiet. I did stay kind of late. It's almost 11, but I'm basically trying to do Neros instead of zeros. And it looks like there is a stealth option along the way. There's another hotel I could get to in like 27 miles. But the chances of things going smooth enough where that works out seems relatively low. Inside the hotel, the weather didn't seem that bad. There was some hail and some hard rain when that front hit. And then 2 hours later, I was kind of wishing I was still on the move because it got nice. But there was another round in the wee hours of the night. And I heard from somebody a little further in Kentucky that they had multiple trees coming down on their house. So all in all, not a bad night to be undercover. Today is my ever so brief tour of Kentucky. I hop through some parks and things, and then I will be taking a ferry back into Ohio for the last 15 miles or whatever it is before I am clear and on to Indiana. I'm glad for those blazes because sometimes it's hard to tell if this is a cut across or stairs into somebody's yard. Trail-wise, I don't really know what is ahead, though I did see one section of Indiana listed a bunch of shelters, so I'm guessing it's more of the same mix between road, trail, and rail trail. At least for the moment, I'm doing shorter food carries because there are options. I am also at about 500 miles on my shoes, might be closer to 450. And my parents sent a new pair to Aurora up ahead. So I'll probably grab those tomorrow, along with a few extra bean dinners. Since I've been able to supplement due to restaurants and trail angels, my dinners are lasting me a good long time. And I mean, sometimes I have been carrying 7 of them. So it's made it easy to avoid north sides or any of the other things that I'm kind of iffy on due to burnout. I heard from Jen, she is back from the Gorgonio Wilderness, where she was co-leading an experience trip for the wilderness class. So she just has one more trip next weekend, and then she throws the rest of things into storage and heads my way. I just have to try and get as close to Evansville as I can. As usual, we are relying on a trail angel to pick her up at the airport. So it's not like, oh, I have to make exactly XYZ miles, because that never works out. The universe is going to throw mud or tornadoes or injury or something at you. And apparently more trees are on their way down. Yesterday was kind of fun. After I left that McDonald's and realized I was kind of pushing it and the storm was moving up, I didn't take more than a brief breather on the steps of a church. I was hauling through downtown, soaked in sweat, getting all these weird looks. But hey, I made it. I hiked like that all the time, I'd be doing like 30-40 mile days. I was pretty trashed when I got to the hotel. I also hadn't eaten anything since breakfast. That was why I promptly ordered a bunch of Indian food and just gorged myself in between sitting in the tub and heating and cooling my legs. If I had known just how quickly that front was going to pass and that I'd have such a big break before the next round of storms, I would have pushed on another 10 miles or so, but I didn't have solid hotel options anyway, and you never know. This entire zone was in the you may have severe thunderstorms coming out of nowhere, make sure you can get to cover zone. The trail has been cutting this kind of interesting path through all these parks and museums and other things, which is kind of fun. I kind of wonder how many people either quit after the first few states where it's just a lot of kind of, dull roads through Delaware and parts of Maryland, or else they're doing the shortcut routes along other roads and not getting to appreciate the design behind the trail. That has been one of those things I've tend to get into it with people over. You hear people say that New Mexico on the CDT, it's so boring and it has days of road walks. But if you follow the trail as designed, I only overnighted on a road once, and there are these cool interludes in between. And see, I appreciate this dipping down into Kentucky here. And it's always fun getting to ride one of those little ferries. And near to end of today, or I think I'll be at the end of today, there is actually the north-south split. If you look at the American Discovery Trail, there is a northern route and a southern route in the middle. I do not know why they did that. Similar to the Florida Trail, it seems like it would be better just to have a single route, considering how many miles of trail and how hard it is to maintain a trail across that many jurisdictions. But whatever. As usual, I don't care about trying to do both of them or anything. I picked the southern route because A, it's longer and I don't want to feel like a wimp, and the big reason is it goes right by Canyon City where my parents are, so I thought it was amusing to start at the East Coast, walk to my parents, and then walk to the West Coast. I have not looked ahead that much, but per comments and notes I've gotten, it's going to be more kind of similar to what I've seen in Ohio. If I was in North Indiana, it is a little, flatter on roads and rail sections. It only saves you like 123 miles or something minor like that, which both does not sound like a lot when your hike is thousands, but that is a good solid week of hiking for me. I do ideally have a little bit of time to make up the mud sections through East Fork. I'll only manage to make like 17 miles, and ideally I'm aiming for 22 here. I am meeting my weekly goals, but I tried to set reasonable goals with the hope of being able to exceed. If my goal was 25 a day, I'm going to be constantly falling short. If it's 22, hopefully I can get above that sometime. But I am also a optimistic realist, as I like to say. And I do kind of assume it's not just magically going to get easier. People keep telling me, oh yeah, when you get to the flats of like Kansas, you'll be flying. And we'll see. Starts to get above 100 degrees. That can cause its own slowdowns. So I'm just keeping on. This is probably the strongest I will be the entire hike. Because at this point, I've got my trail legs and everything, obviously. But I don't have the kind of accumulation of overuse injuries and insistent pains that usually comes in later in the hike. I've actually really enjoyed the last couple of days with all the social encounters and getting to a milestone, end of Ohio and all of that. I did not even switch to audiobooks yesterday. I was just rocking out to music until I dove through the front door of the hotel. This is the Ohio River. We went past the confluence of it with the Mississippi last year. It's actually on our radar to possibly paddle. I just got to see, I don't know how many of the big rivers are actually passable to the same degree as the Mississippi, you know, without having to have support to pull you on and off. Hey, channel buoys and barges. That just makes me downright nostalgic. Good. We were dodging these last year on the Mississippi. That was fun. I got to have conversations with the guy collecting money and a couple of the cars. Always kind of strikes me how interesting it is that it's more economical to run those ferries than it is to build a bridge. I am dragging a bit, but I just chugged a bunch of Coke and Gatorade, so should get me a few miles down the road. So welcome to Ohio Part 2, The Revenge. 15 more miles till Indiana. They were peeking at me from the garage and then came over and gave me snacks. Offered me cold drinks, which normally I'd kill for, but I just brought a bunch of it out of the gas station. So 5 o'clock, I've come about 15 miles. If I can make it another 12, there is a hotel. Unfortunately, other than that, there's something in a handful of miles that looks stealthable. And then it looks like it's kind of exposed, you know, houses, stuff like this. I'm kind of inclined to get over the Indiana border. It's not like I'm in a hurry to stop considering how late it started. But we'll see. Looks like I'm going to be on the side of 50 for a while, which is that busier road off to the left. That might get a little sketchy towards dark. Interesting. I did actually know that about Harrison. Blame that whole history major period. Oh, I do like those barges. I think that's about the third time I've had some vehicle with teenagers come by and yell and try and spook me today. Interesting. Could have actually followed 50. It would have cut off some miles, so I was kind of curious why they came out this way. So this is pretty much where the split is. I arrived at this sign at literally the worst possible lighting. Hence why I'm on the ground. That's the only way I could get me plus the sign. So yeah, that is the slightly shorter northern route, and then this is me headed for Canyon City. It'll come back together around Denver, I believe. So I got a ways. That's okay. It'll help cut down on the crowds, hopefully. Though apparently, for whatever reason, the southern route is the more popular, even though it is a little longer. And here I thought I was doing the silly unpopular thing again. Oh well. So I'm basically right on the Ohio-Indiana border. There's a campground out here, but it's one of those that doesn't allow tents, RVs only. I always feel like there should be welcome to such and such state signs on the roads. Or at least a giant white line you can see from space. So this is actually State Line Road, runs right between Ohio and Indiana. Hey, there we go. This is fun. There is actually a side street I'd be on over there, except Jen booked me on a hotel. I'm going to be at my highest mileage yet today, I think. But there was no camping within nice reach here. Sadly, there was no delivery in the area, so I had to do something drastic like walk across the parking lot to get something to eat. Well, this is weird. Straight from a hotel to a hotel, but it got me a 27 mile day despite leaving at 11, so guess I'll take it. Got to talk with Jen a little bit. She just got back from a trip. She's got one more, and then she'll be coming and joining me. Home sweet home.
I'm out this weekend for my second summer season hiking trip. This is with a Sierra Club WTC group out in the San Bernardino Mountains. And our morning cross-country hike was to this point overlooking Allison Falls. Home sweet home for the night.